Hey, what's going on, out of town Virgin gang? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good, still out of town. Watched a video today. A lot of people sent me this video. It's good old Nostalgianomics, good old Alex over there. And it was sent to me quite a bit. Now, I'm going to start by saying Nostalgianomics, I don't agree with everything he says. I agree with some of the things he says. Some of the takes that he's had relatively recently have been kind of base. I really did think it was great how he called out certain bigger YouTubers who were buying a bunch of product, throwing blame at investors and other people as well, while they themselves sit on a ton of product and basically profit from the state of the market currently, basically turning it back around and throwing the whole hypocrisy at them. I think that was a rather base take. He has another couple great takes as well. I don't disagree with everything he says. His most recent video, though, I watched it and I 100% understood why people sent that video to me. It became abundantly clear how out of touch Nostalgianomics is. And I don't care. I'll talk about that stuff all day. He has a problem with the haters. I'm not even a hater, man. I just watched an actual masterpiece of just not understanding this place happen in a video, and you not even realize necessarily that you put it up. It's kind of one of those things where you just watch a disaster unfold naturally and unknowingly. That's kind of one of those videos. It doesn't start off bad. He basically talks about, his content, getting started, getting all the things rolling with his current state, his business, what he's doing with how he got his distro, making friends, his content moving forward, all that stuff. He talks about working hard, persevering, doing all that stuff. I don't disagree with any of that. I think a lot of that stuff actually does have a solid ground and solid take to what he's saying. I don't think there's anything wrong with people taking a situation and trying to make the best of it. And there is something to be said about doing that with the state of collecting currently. There really is. There's a lot of things that can be done, and there's a lot of ways people can funnel energy and funds into something different. Where it gets a little weird is about, I'd say, 2/3 of the way into the video. It starts getting a little malicious. It starts getting a little cynical, in my personal opinion, in ways that it doesn't really need to be. And him having opinions and him being extra money, that's not the problem. And once again, I don't necessarily have a problem with people making money in the Pokemon space. I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's fine. Well, I have two problems with things. Number one, people being very unaware of how things are for everybody else. People just being blatantly oblivious to stuff to the point where they start saying things very cynically, and this is what happens in this video. I think that's what Alex did. The second thing is hypocritical flip-floppers. I do not like that, where people are one side and then the state of things turn, the wind is changing, and people immediately hop on something different after causing a fair amount of damage or having a fair amount of takes on this side, just immediately flopping over for the sake of trying to save face. I do not like that, and though people like that will 100% scam you. They 100% will, because they're literally flip-flopping, and all it takes is an opportunity to show itself. One bad Saturday, they just owe someone a couple $100, and bam, they're going to scam somebody. They're going to resteal some packs, and we're going to end up with situations on our hands where people are buying shitty product. Alex's video is incredibly out of touch, and it's for one major reason. One fucking reason where it makes it incredibly out of touch, to the point where actual paying members are telling him he's out of touch. And I mean, that dislike ratio is not doing you any favors either, my guy. So what happens is he just doesn't understand. He does not understand why the average person here has issues with the Pokemon space. He just doesn't get it. He can't wrap his head around it. He's too far gone. The ego's gotten too huge, and he no longer understands the average consumer that he once was anymore. Now that he's business-minded, Hey, that's fine. That's okay. He just doesn't understand why people are mad. He keeps throwing a lot of things around. He basically mocks people wanting to pay things at MSRP, and he throws a lot of things where people just are here just ready to give up because of the state of stuff, massively downplaying how much this is affecting everything, basically limiting everything to Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions and a little bit of Shrouded Fable, but every other set is massively affordable and everything else is not going up. IR cards aren't going up. The Japanese market's not going up. People's prices on stuff aren't going up. Even regular collection boxes that have packs in them, like Palafin boxes or fucking any of those special collection boxes, they're like $20. Yeah, those are getting $10 price tags added to them as well. And people are a little bit frustrated about that. And look, I understand there are definitely some collectors that are throwing big old fits for no reason. It is becoming abundantly clear that some collectors are part of the problem, to the point where even collectors such as myself are willing to acknowledge that stuff. The problem is, with people like Alex, they will not take any kind of ownership for the other side of it. They will not take any kind of ownership for what's going on any part of this stuff, because they are 100% right. The money is always right, and everyone else is 100% wrong. And it is very clear in that video that's how that's going. It's a real shame too, because it's not so bad in every part of it, and there's definitely a lot of lessons that could be taken. He just fucking doesn't get it when it comes to the average person. He thinks everyone's just mad that motherfuckers have product. He thinks everyone's just mad that fucking Alex got some YouTube views, and he's sitting with a bunch of boxes behind him. Dude, no one fucking cares that you have a bunch of boxes behind you. Nobody fucking cares how much product you have. The average person just wants a fair crack and a fair share at getting something modern without having to jump through 7 hoops in order to get it. Look, I know businesses are having to do that too. I know distros are fucking wringing everybody by the asshole. I understand that. Look, I can understand that. I get that point. But motherfuckers can't put it on the other side. Like the people like him. It's not every business, by the way. There's tons of people that are running card stores, and there's tons of people that are still trying their absolute best to understand where people are coming from. And they're not being assholes about it. They understand. They have their prices where they are. I don't necessarily agree with some of the prices, but they also understand the position that I'm in as well. They're like, look, I get it. I understand. Someone will have to buy. I got to do from a business. I'm not going to put you in a position where you have to compromise how you feel about stuff. No hard feelings. Here, I got some singles here if you're like trying to pick some stuff up. And I did that. I actually went around and I actually picked up some full art trainers. Absolutely no problem. And people that are running businesses, they're not all bad. Not everyone who's money-minded is bad here. And not every person is just massively contributing to issues. Just like every collector is not a crybaby whiner. There's plenty of people who understand. There's plenty of people who've moved on. My man just doesn't get it. He just doesn't understand. He keeps thinking that everyone's just mad that like there's money flowing here. And this comment here really highlights the best. And once again, this is a paying member. This is not a hater, because haters get brought up extensively in the video. They just get brought up over and over and over again about like how I've just got massive haters. Look, people that don't agree with me, I don't necessarily think are haters. I think they just have a different perspective on how they look at the whole thing. I'm not compromising how I feel about it unless a massive point is made where I'm like, oh, I never thought about it like that before. There's people that have opinions. There's going to be people who disagree with everything I say. I'm a very easy person to fucking disagree with. I really am. And I understand that. I'm not the easiest person to sit in a room with and agree with. I get that. But there's a lot of people who need to look in the mirror and probably realize that, hey, some of my opinions are a little goofy too. Not everybody is mad at every creator. I mean, not everybody is mad that some people have product. People are mad that they can't fucking go to Target anymore and pick up packs without having to fight fucking 10 people who watch videos telling them to pick up certain boxes because this has this pack in it and this is going to be worth so much and so much. There is a hand that the people who talk about money have in this whole thing too. And people are starting to get frustrated that they will not acknowledge their hand in any of this. They will not acknowledge how they've impacted the market at all. They're like, this is just natural stuff going on here. This is the way it is. This is how it always goes, my guy. I'm going to say the pandemic, and I'm going to say right now, even though the Japanese market had a boom, Evolutions was kind of a boom. Some of those packs went up for a little bit. Lying about like what some prices were at when fucking boxes released, like motherfuckers weren't here watching the whole thing. It's cool, man. Like, do what you want, say what you will, have your fun. You know, look at your haters, look at your criticism. I mean, that video right there, like that's some pretty gnarly dislikes. That's a pretty gnarly ratio. And average people just, they don't really appreciate you just talking shit about them, saying go back to your 9 to 5, go back to do that stuff. You can't handle this hobby. Go ahead and quit if you have frustrations here. This hobby isn't for you. You give up on a lot of stuff if you're frustrated that fucking 20 grown men are fighting over one Jirachi V-Box and you're just trying to pick up a fucking booster pack of Surging Sparks. But it's been deemed a highly investable set. So literally when everyone and their mom is going to go after these packs now and you are not able to get one as an average person, work harder. Maybe you need to work 90 hours. Maybe you need to work 100 hours a fucking week because that's what you need to do in order to get by like me. There is something to be said about working harder. There's also something to be said about being an insensitive asshole and telling everybody who works fucking 9 to 5s they need to work even harder than they already do, and basically your lifestyle is just the get by lifestyle. Like that's what you're doing right there. And I think that's really what it was. You just insulted massively a large group of people here who just casually collect Pokemon cards, watch people just to see what they have to say about money, and you just don't get it. And I don't know if you ever will. I don't know if you ever will at this point. It kind of seems like you're a little bit, you hit 25K, which congrats, by the way, but it seems to have affected you massively. It seems to have affected you being able to relate to people. And that's a real shame. It really is, because you do have some solid takes and you do have some good stuff. I'll still watch your content, man. I still will. I'm still going to, peek in every once in a while and see what the brain of Alex is conjuring up, the fucking madness coming out of there. It really is wild to see like how just incoherent and you just can't relate to people anymore. You cannot relate to average people because you think the problem is that you got some boxes behind you. That's not what the problem is. A couple of YouTube comments saying you're the problem does not represent everybody who is the average person, my guy. Collectors have owned their hand in this fucking disaster going on. The investors need to own their fucking hand in it too, and that's what it is. They won't move an inch. They won't move a muscle. They'll point more fingers at everyone else than anybody else. They'll whine more about collectors, even though they say that collectors whine, which is true. Some collectors are whining a good little bit. Investors are whining a good little bit, though, too. Those motherfuckers cry when things don't go their way. But hey, that's a whole separate thing, right? And just not being able to relate to the average 9-to-5er, man. I mean, working, I'm out of town for work right now. It's a real shame, my guy. It really is. It's a real crying shame to watch another one just get lost in the fucking hobby elite side of things, my guy. And that really is the elite mindset where you truly think the average person having a fucking negative opinion about what's going on here is the problem. That's what the real problem is. Not fucking prices, not distro, not Pokemon themselves. No, it's the fucking consumer that watches 20 people fight over a fucking Palafin box. That person's the problem. Exclusively them are the problem. Get the fuck out of here. Do some reflecting, my guy. I really do think you need to go ahead and react to this video if you want to as well. I don't really give a fuck what you have to say. It's very clear that the average person's opinion does not matter to you. Later, taters.